Hey folks, welcome back to the village. Haven't done much lately outside. Kind of been crappy. Old man winter's kind of hanging on, not letting spring get sprung, and just been cold and nasty. So got plenty of projects to do. We'll get to those if it ever gets better. Supposed to be next week. We're supposed to get a little warmer, so we'll get back out there and start working on some stuff. But in the meantime, do a little cooking. We're going to be working today on a recipe of beef and broccoli. I've got pictures of this I'll post on there also, so if you want to think about making it, think it looks pretty good. I personally not a big fan of like sweeter foods. This actually has a little sriracha sauce in it, so it gives a little bit of spice. So it's a little bit different than most of your beef and broccolis have a tendency to be a little on the sweet side. So made this a few times, me and the wife's favorites. So we're going to get started on this. First thing I'm going to do is I have a head of broccoli over there. I'm going to cut that into florets and wash that and get that ready, and then we'll start putting this together. So give me a sec, we'll come right back and get this thing started. Okay, well, first thing we're going to do here, we're going to start off, just got a small bowl here. We're going to mix up some of our soy sauce, lime juice, and brown sugar and cornstarch to get things started. So let's go ahead and knock this out. Let's see, I believe it is a third. Oh, to get my soy sauce out. Oh, I knew I was missing something. You probably see I like to have everything laid out before I work. Let's see. So this is a third cup of the soy sauce. Where's my third cup? Where's my third? Grab this. And I like to use the low sodium soy sauce. Always trying to cut down on sodium. Always trying to use anything that's organic. I prefer less chemicals, the better. So I'll go ahead and pay attention. When you're old and blind, it's tough. Okay, so it's a third cup of soy sauce, which we'll throw in the bowl. So that's going to end up in there with a juice of half a lime. This is a pretty small lime, so I'm going to go with the whole lime. Just going to squeeze those in there. Right. 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. And this is going to be pretty standard beef and broccoli. There's a tablespoon of brown sugar. And then a tablespoon of cornstarch. We're going to whisk this all together. There's my help. Now, then we'll take and whisk this together. Find my little whisk here. Where did I put it? There we go. Okay, I'm going to whisk this all together. This is going to go over that sirloin steak. Just kind of just get this whisk smooth. Mixed up there. And now we're going to put the steak in there, and we're going to put this on the salt, pepper until it's all coated down. That's going to sit for about 20 minutes before we cook it. So let me get that sirloin steak out. We'll get that out. We're going to get this put on there. We'll get that marinating so we can move on to the next process there. So we'll be right back, folks. we got our sirloin steak here. It calls for a pound. I'm just gonna up this recipe a little bit, a little more sirloin steak. Take a look at that guy. I buy this locally from a meat plant over in a little town next to mine. One of these big things you always see about the high prices and all the supply chain crap and everything. This is good because now I'm buying this from, you know, a local business, family owned. They bring their cows in and break them down and process them right there at the plant. These are bought from local farms and everything around here. So in turn, it's helping my local economy out. So I'm not going to the big box stores and everything. And I'm getting a lot cheaper because I'm buying from him. He doesn't have to pay all that markup and all that process, you know, the other stuff. So it works really good. You know, you might want to look around your area and everything and find something like this. They even do like whole cows, half cows, quarter cows. No, half cows, only whole cows right now. So you can get that and get it broken down to any quantities, any type of ways you want it cut. They do it custom. It's just really nice. Do the same with my eggs. You know, keep it out of the supply chain, keep your costs down, support your local economy. So just a little idea there, especially on eggs. Especially there's a lot of little hobby farms around. You'll find in any place you live, and that way you get something that's even better because it's not having all the extra stuff. They're not, you know what they're feeding them. You're getting it directly from somebody, not going through, you know, multiple chains. So that's where I got this. We're gonna cut this into thin slices against the grain. So we'll just I'm just gonna cut them up about like this. And this is a little bit more than I really need, but I don't care, I'm making a little bit more of everything. So we're just gonna cut that, and then once we get it all cut, we're gonna put it in the bowl, and then we'll mix that up and put that on top of it, and we'll let it sit for about 20 minutes and marinate. Here comes my help again. I'll cut some of this into some shorter pieces. These are pretty long pieces. But again, like I said, this is a little bit bigger. This is 1.7 pounds and it only calls for a pound, so it's a little more than we need, but it'll be just fine. Alright, like I said, I'll take some of these bigger pieces and I'll just go back and cut them in half. I don't have any giant chunks. Pretty simple. Cut some of this down. Let's see there. Some of the fat off of there. My assistant would really eat that. So there you go, you got that all like this. So I'm gonna cut that out, we'll take that and put that in the bowl. And that mixture we put together first, we're gonna take that and come back. We're just gonna mix that. Just gonna kind of mix that around so everything's got a little bit on it. We'll come and put a little salt, pepper on this. And again, we'll let that sit for probably about 20 minutes and kind of soak that up. Mix it around a little bit. I like to shake it up a little bit like this. Just like that. Just to get it kind of mixed in so it really sucks it all up. Some more of that out of there. So we'll let that go. Go ready to clean this up. I'll get my broccoli ready and we'll come back and we'll start mincing up our garlic and everything and getting that prepared. Calls for 3 cloves of garlic. I love garlic, so I got 5. They're fairly small. Personal preference, I like garlic. So let me go get that broccoli ready and we'll come back and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, our meat's been marinated in there for approximately 20 minutes, probably closer to 30. Just kind of, I like to mix it up every once in a while, keep it going, and keep everything coated up real good. It kind of sucks it up like a sponge. So now over here on the, in the skillet over here on the stove, we got 2 tablespoons of oil. It says vegetable oil, but I use extra virgin olive oil on everything. So we're gonna get that in here. We got that on high heat. We're gonna get this up to get it nice and hot because we're gonna take those pieces of steak. We're gonna put those in there. We're just gonna sear those off for about 2 minutes. I'll put them over the plate because I got more than enough that I can do 2 batches in the skillet and put those off to the side. And then we'll move on to our next step and get this put together. So let's let this warm up a little more. Then we'll get that steak going and we'll come back and get that steak seared off. Okay, we got our oil over here on the stove. The skillet warmed up. That was a little too warm, so we had to cool it off a little bit. We're just gonna take this in there and just kind of sear it off real quick. Do a couple batches of this, and then we'll pull it off and set that off to the side. You're just trying to get it browned up real good. I think I had it too hot, and I cooled it off, so we're kind of trying to get it warmed back up. Hopefully it'll be too greasy. Take that off for a second, let that warm up a little bit. Again, they're just trying to sear this off. We'll take that off the side, then we're gonna come back and we'll mix in our garlic and everything and get that going. Yeah, just kind of screwed up and let it get a little too hot, and that was not good. Now it's a little bit too cool, so we'll get this going here. Kind of pull everything to the middle here and let it heat up a little bit. Once you sear this off, we'll take it off, put it on the plate side, then we're gonna go back with our garlic. It'll be minced up, and we're gonna get that back in with some more brown sugar, soy sauce, the deep broth, and the brown sugar, and get that in here, and we'll get that coated up, and then we're gonna mix in back in our broccoli and get that mixed in and get that started. So let me get this going and we'll come right back. Okay, we got all our beef seared off over here on the plate, resting. We're gonna warm this back up. We're gonna take our garlic. We got our cloves of garlic minced up. We're gonna put that back in here. We're gonna start browning off. We'll come back in with our broth, our soy sauce, and our brown sugar, and with cornstarch. And we're gonna mix that in. We'll get that going and head up to the next step here. So let me get that set up and we'll get this thing going. Okay, folks, now we got our garlic back in here that we for about 1.5 minutes with the juice from the meat. Just kind of cook that till it's kind of a fragrant, and then we add a little bit of cornstarch back mix that in. We add in back our 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, our 1/3 of a cup of soy sauce, and our 2 teaspoons of sriracha. Just gonna kind of get this to a little simmer here, and then we're gonna take all our broccoli we got cut up over here. We're gonna add that in there and start that going. We're gonna cook that till it's tender. Once we get that tender, we're gonna go back and add our steak back into it. That's pretty much. It'll pretty much be it. We're gonna cook it up, and then once that gets all warmed through, it's basically ready to go. We'll put that on our plates. If you like to cook a little bit of rice on the side, I didn't do it this time. Sometimes you can do that. Put a little brown rice down there, put it underneath, and then cut up a little green onion to put on top. So let me get this going. We got our broccoli in there and get that going. Okay, we got our broccoli florets back into our mixture here. Just gonna get this up a little bit. We're just gonna simmer this till about 5 minutes, it says. Just kind of look at it when it gets a little bright green, kind of that tender color, that color that it's tender. And then we'll take and add our beef back in. So let me get this going here a little. I'm gonna cut the heat up a little bit more. And that's pretty much it. So we'll come back here in a couple minutes and see when that looks about done. Then we'll add our steak back in and we'll see how we're going. Okay, we got our broccoli cooked off there a little bit. Now we're going to take our steak that we took off earlier and combine that back in. Just kind of mix that in. I'm gonna hit that with a little bit more pepper, black pepper. Black pepper, salt. We'll mix that back in. We'll just let that probably simmer for a little bit, warm that steak back up. And it'll be ready to serve. Like I said, if you want to do like some white rice or brown rice or something, you could do that, serve that on top. Sometimes I'll put onions or mushrooms in here, you can, but I didn't do it this time. That's pretty much it. That's what she looks like. Pretty simple, not too complex, really good. If you don't like sweet stuff like I do, this is pretty good with the sriracha mixed in there. Just a little different than most. That's it pretty much. So I will put the recipe on the end there, the pictures of the recipe that I got online. I pretty much follow the recipe, which is unusual for me. If you like what we're doing here on the channel, follow us on Rumble, follow us on YouTube. If you like the video, hit the like button below. If you like to follow us, hit the subscribe button. We'll be doing other stuff, and you can follow us. And if you want notifications, hit that, and that'll notify you on your device when we're doing something or posting something new. So thanks for joining, folks, and have a good weekend.